is in crisis. And people are looking for hope and answers. Thai PBS World is there with you with the best minds of the day. Join us on Thai PBS World tonight, every weekdays at 7 p.m. Thai PBS World, we bring Thailand to the world.
Sawadee and very good evening and welcome to Thai PBS World Tonight. I'm Nad Bunag.
I'm Tulip Nak Sompok Lao. And tonight we pack our show with all the important news about Thailand that you need to know for today. We're going to start with the news about the Thai Economy Assessment Report by OECD. It said that, of course, Thai economy expect to be negative this year, but it will bounce back slowly next year. The 163 pages assessment report by Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, or OECD, said that Thailand actually has made impressive economic and social progress over the past decades, thanks to the strong policy framework, friendly business climate, and attention to citizens' well-being. But COVID-19 crisis might send the country into a severe recession soon, like many other countries. So, of course, Thailand cannot escape it. But expert projects that the economic growth will contract sharply this year, but it will bounce back in 2021, which is next year, of course, because Thai government has managed the outbreak very well. However, the lockdown measures have affected domestic demand, and the weak employment prospects weigh on confidence of businesses and households. So the recovery will be slow and will have a scarring effect on long-term productivity. Though the macroeconomic policies have been supportive, but the uncertainties of the future course of the outbreak is still highly uncertain. So OECD suggests that the government should look into the investments that will strengthen the healthcare system and also prepare for a second wave should it happen, such as increasing protective and testing capacity. And the report also focused on the informal workers group, particularly women in Thailand, which was described as vulnerable workers. Their lack of access to sufficient social protection and lack of training opportunities. The report suggests the Thai government should come up with the measures to upskill and reskill this group of workers and make the post-outbreak economy more inclusive and productive. The report concluded that the skill needs in the labor market in Thailand has not been assessed in a regular and systematic way. So the government should develop tools to regularly assess skill needs at the national, regional, and sectoral level to be able to develop human resources with the right skills. Actually, in this issue, I think Labor Ministry has been talking about this for a while, that they need some more help from the private sector to involve more with what kind of skill that the labor market would need. But in Thailand, some education institution also cooperate with some private sector, some company, to actually come up with a program that will focus on the skill set that each company work. Like Toyota, I'm not sure what university Toyota working with, but there is a university that cooperate with Toyota that they come up with what skill set of the worker they need. The report also talk about the access of the education. It starts with the press. It praises that Thailand has been doing very well in expanding the access of the education. The participation of general education is high, especially in the elementary level, but there is a but. But students in the rural areas still doesn't have enough access, and the students or children from the poorest families still do not attend school. And the exclusion rates are high in the rural areas. Also, the last portion of the report talking about international trade. They focuses on the service sectors that have become important and essential to the international trade. Statistically, the service sector in Thailand are more strictly regulated than in other ASEAN in Asian countries. So much so that it hinders the expansion. The report suggests that Thailand should try to remove barriers, particularly regarding the international mobility of skilled workers by expanding the coverage of smart visa. And they talk about foreign direct investment that is essential to the expand exports of services. Though the restriction on inward foreign direct investment have been eased in manufacturing, but not enough in the service sector.
So that's the analysis on the Thai economy for this year, and there's still some sort of hope here that next year it will bounce back, but
Yes.
in more of a slow process
Yes.
because of the COVID-19 as well. And still on economics, recently the labor union network has held a rally to demand a social security reform. The Workers' Rights Network, together with Just Economy and Labor Institute, has organized a demonstration earlier today demanding the government to reform the social security system and also set up a probe on the Si Phanwa Hospitality Real Estate Investment Trust and make the result available to the public. Thanaporn Wichan, one of the protest leaders, had submitted a letter to Labour Minister Suthachomklin and also to the Permanent Secretary to the Labour Ministry, Suthi Sukkoson, who is also a chairman of the Social Security Board. The network is asking for the Social Security Office to be reformed, turn it to be an independent body with elected board committees, and involve more general people into the process. They wish for the board election to happen in 180 days. Besides the reform, the protesters wish for benefit improvements to be at least the same levels as the National Health Security Office to reduce the inequality gap and help the vulnerable workers. Also, the unpaid COVID-19 unemployment compensation to be fully paid within this month. The Secretary General to the Social Security Office promised to send these demands to the Social Security Board to review, but refuses to make a comment on the Si Phanwa case. The Thai Labour Solidarity Committee with the State Enterprises Workers Relation Confederation has also submitted a demand to the Labour Ministry asking for the equal benefit, just minimum wage to all sectors. They also asked for the Social Security Office to be restructured. And these are one of the demands from the Labour.
But talking about the move about Si Phanwa, a lot of people believe that it's actually politically motivated because Si Phanwa executive actually criticized the movement, the anti-government movement group that just disagree with them. So they believe that a lot of this asking for take a look or the probe into the investment in Si Phanwa is actually something, like I say, politically motivated because actually, Social Security Office, they not just invest in Si Phanwa, they invest in a lot of other private companies as well, just to try to make some money for Social Security funds.
That person actually criticized one of the protest leaders, Rupanasaya, because of the recent protest last month, and that was why he received a lot of backlash, and then it went really far into the probe into Si Phanwa.
So another story today is about BTS station. If you are a regular BTS passengers, you might like this news because the Green Line is expanding to another 7 stations and they just had a test run which went smoothly. The Bangkok Mass Transit System has been conducting test run of the BTS electric train system on the extension section of the Northern Green Line route from Wat Mahatat-Khu Station to Khu Khot Station since Monday. BMTS Managing Director Surapong Lauha Anya said that the test run of the train and related systems for the extension route, covering altogether 7 stations, went on smoothly and without any problems. He added that the system integration test would be the next step, which will include the test of signal and communication systems to make sure that all related systems are synchronized and function effectively and safely. The northern route of the Green Line from Mochit Station to Khu Khot Station covers a distance of 9.8 kilometers. Altogether, the Green Line route is 68.25 kilometers long, covering 59 stations. Meanwhile, the installation of platform screen doors at all the 7 train stations on the extension section, namely Phahon Yotin 59, Sai Yut, Sapan Mai, Phumipol Adunyadej Hospital, Royal Thai Air Force Museum, Yak Khop and Khu Khot, including Surasak and Thonglor stations, have been completed. The platform screen doors were installed to prevent passengers from falling onto the tracks. Surapong said that the entire Green Line will be open to public service by the end of this year.
That's definitely good news for frequent travelers of the BTS. And speaking of state quarantine, what is the first thing that would you think of if we have to go into state quarantine?
Somewhere with the beach, with nice view, I don't know, but if I have to pay a lot of money, I'm not sure.
Right, so let's imagine if you had the chance to quarantine at this place that has a private pool and a beautiful villa in this island. So that must be really interesting here, so let's check it out.
A private infinity pool, gourmet meals, and 2 temperature checks a day. Welcome to 5-star quarantine in Thailand, where well-heeled tourists can live in luxury while obeying some of the world's strictest anti-coronavirus measures. It definitely will be comfortable, but it will be in confinement. After barring visitors for 6 months, Thailand is reopening to a small number of holiday makers, with the first batch arriving in Phuket, a popular resort island, in the coming weeks. But before enjoying the beaches, the 300 tourists from China and Scandinavia will have to complete 14 days of compulsory quarantine, including 2 coronavirus tests overseen by a war room of doctors and security guards. While the coronavirus put global travel on hold, it is also sending Thailand's economy into free fall. More than 70% of Phuket's businesses, which depends on tourism, are now shuttered. At the Census Resort overlooking Phuket's Patong Bay, 16 villas have been specially prepared for quarantine guests. The villas, which are up to 220 square meters, were redesigned, getting rid of cushioned surfaces to make disinfecting easier, while CCTV security cameras have been installed at the entrances. Employees have also received training at a hospital in how to spot infections and given personal protective equipment to deliver room service meals. The hotel owner said that they will not make much profit because of the increased expenses, but they had to find other sources of income to support their staff. The assistant director of sales at the Census Resort, Tan Chanok, said that they chose to be in the quarantine program because they want to support the local.
We want to support and help the local people who are suffering badly from COVID-19, and also for the unemployed staff, that they can return to work and they can make money to survive for themselves and family.
The Census Resort is one of 9 properties in Phuket, mostly luxury hotels with government approval for quarantining guests. Upmarket quarantine does not come cheap. Confinement at the Census runs to a hefty $5,300 or $18,700 for a family of 4. If the Phuket model proves successful, the government will attempt to replicate it in the rest of the country. Once visitors finish quarantine, they can stay and travel freely for 3 to 9 months on a special visa created to revive tourism.
ทางกระทรวงเราก็เลยพยายามเน้นนะครับเน้นว่าถ้าจะมีนักท่องเที่ยวรุ่นใหม่ล็อตใหม่เข้ามาเนี้ยเอาในวงแคบๆไม่กี่จังหวัดก่อนเป็นจังหวัดนำร่องถ้าหากว่าจังหวัดนำร่องตรงนี้แล้วเนี่ยไม่มีปัญหาเราก็จะค่อยๆขยายออกไป
At the Census Resort, visitors will wake up to a view of island's lush sloping mountains and can swim laps in each villa's infinity pool. But attempting to leave the room could bring police at a guest's door within 15 minutes, while an infected guest can be taken to hospital within half an hour. Completing quarantine does not ensure unfettered freedom. Thai Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha has said that visitors' whereabouts will continue to be tracked via mobile phone apps. But the strict rules have not deterred interest. About 20 people from India and Europe have already contacted the hotel since it got approval for the program.
That's definitely luxurious here.
Yeah, I guess if you're gonna be stuck somewhere, better be somewhere nice
Yeah.
with a view.
At least there is a pool and you can see the view of Phuket.
Yeah, and I think the air probably very clean right now.
Yeah, so for some people, it might be better than being stuck in a hotel where you cannot even go anywhere.
But you
and-
cannot go anywhere until
Yeah.
14 days pass. You have to
Exactly,
stay in your room.
but what I was going to say is that some hotels have a very small room and not
Yeah.
even enough facilities.
Yes.
But having a pool and a view, like $1 million view, that is already enough for some
Yes,
people.
and it's $5,300 for 14 days quarantine.
But-
So if you're interested, just give a call or email the Census Hotel.
I'm pretty sure that the owner is happy to welcome these people if they really want to do alternative state quarantine there.
Right.
And just so you know, these are the stories we've also been following. Thailand recorded 15 new cases of COVID-19 today, who are returnees from South Sudan, Myanmar, India, Hong Kong, the United States, and Bangladesh. All of them are under state quarantine. The total number of infections to date are 3,615, with one new recovery and no new fatalities. Japan's Ministry of Health, Labor and Welfare revealed that officials found 2 new infections who returned from Thailand. Both of them were found to be asymptomatic after being tested at Narita Airport. As of today, Japan recorded 502 new cases of COVID-19, bringing a total number of infections to 87,349. However, both Japan and South Korea recently allowed business people to travel between the countries from October 8th. Security at the Thai-Malaysian border, especially along the Khot Lok River, has been increased, with more patrols by troops and police aimed at preventing illegal migrants from crossing into Thailand following a surge of new COVID-19 infections in Malaysia. Almost 500 new cases were reported in Malaysia today, bringing the total number of infections in the past 5 days to over 2,000.
Very close to home.
Yeah.
Malaysia and also Burma, very close to home.
And we're seeing a big surge of cases of COVID-19 both in Myanmar and Malaysia. So it's definitely up to the Thai government to keep their guards up. And because the situation is not good at all.
As far as we know, that they have been increased the security at the border checkpoint and
Right.
also along the borderline. So we will see whether we can help or they can, keep the
Prevent the spread of COVID-19
right
into the
across
country.
the border.
And actually, the Thai government actually warned that the illegal migrants might slip into the
Right.
border. So that was why they decided to increase the security guards in all these borders as well as the checkpoints, because they felt that if there is at least one migrant coming in, then there is a high risk of these areas getting infected by COVID-19.
Right, if they don't stay in the quarantine, because if they come in illegally,
Right.
the chance is they will not stay in the quarantine. Well, talking about quarantine, we already showed you the luxury hotel, but for people that are in Bangkok or vicinity, and if you are tired of city life and you want to experience something of nature, green atmosphere, we have something that we want to introduce to you. It's called Bang Krachao in Samut Prakan province.
It is an escape from the hectic atmosphere of Bangkok, a paradise for nature lovers, and an ideal destination for anyone who enjoys walking, cycling, and learning about local culture. Located near Bang Krachao, a small sub-district in Samut Prakan. Weekdays tend to be quiet, but the village springs to life at the weekend when visitors leave urban states behind to take advantage of the homestay accommodation and to walk around ตลาดบางน้ำผึ้ง Weekend day tripper should make the market their first stop. Opened in 2004, this floating market started life undercover but has recently been expanded. Food is perhaps the biggest attraction, with many stalls offering desserts and snacks like barbecue prawn, squid, Thai caramel, pineapple with a sweet peanut topping, fried taro, and bananas coated with sugar. Visitors are advised alive with an empty stomach. The market is also the center for all top products from Bang Namphueng village and surrounding communities in Samut Prakan. There are seafood products, including dill shrimp and shrimp paste, as well as the herbal compresses. Artificial flowers made from fish scale and home decoration products. After the market, it is time to rent a bike. If you didn't bring your own and to explore Bang Namphueng, the ride is in fresh, clean air and the surrounding area is wonderfully clean. You can ride as far as Bang Krachao or straight to the part around Bang Namphueng village.
That's definitely a good place to check out if you're really tired of city life. So it's some sort of escape where you can absorb the nature and all the so-called slow life.
Yeah, and it's only like an hour away from Bangkok.
Right, and that wraps up tonight's edition of Thai PBS World Tonight. I'm Namphueng and Kun Tilip standing off, and we'll see you tomorrow. สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีค่ะ